And welcome back to the People's Court. Next case on the docket, the plaintiff rented a boat to the defendants, but when it came time to board, they simply refused. Now, the defendants say they wanted a sailboat and got a big ol' honkin' powerboat instead. It's the case of if your friends could see you now.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome.
Okay, Mr. Nee, doing business as Urban Desire Cruises. You are suing Jonathan Bricklen for $1,080 that you say is due to you under a contract that he breached, correct?
That's right, Your Honor.
Talk to me. Tell me what's going on, sir.
Okay, basically, Mr. Bricklen had called my colleagues here, Mr. and Mrs. Bacon from Bacon Yacht Charters, to originally hire their yacht, which was not available for the day for his wife's birthday cruise. They referred him to me, which is what we do, give each other jobs when we're not available. He had called me, we talked on the phone, and discussed the plans for the charter the next day. I had sent him a contract to sign, and he had signed it and faxed it back to me. And everything was working fine, and then when I met
How
him,
many boats do you have?
I have one, they have one, and we network with other boat owners in the area.
Okay, how many
referrals.
boats do you, what is the name of your company? It's Urban Desire Cruises?
Urban Desire Cruises, the name of the boat is called the Urban Desire.
Okay, do you, as Urban Desire Cruises, also rent out or charter other types of boats besides this motor yacht?
Yes, larger dinner boats.
Okay, do you also charter sailboats?
One sailboat.
Okay.
In our size range, which belongs to them.
Okay, so you're the company he called first.
Yes.
And have you done business with him before?
With Jonathan?
Yes.
No.
Okay, come on up to the microphone. What did he ask you for when he called you?
He called and he said, I was on your website and I want to take my wife out for her birthday. It's tomorrow. And I said, I want to be able to take her out in your boat. And I said, well, unfortunately, we are in the shipyard doing repairs and maintenance, and we will probably not be back in the water for at least a week.
Well, did he mention what boat he wanted to take?
Prelude, our boat.
Okay, is the Prelude a sailboat?
It is a sailboat.
Okay.
All right. So I said, we're not available. But we do work with another boat in the harbor that does something very similar to what we do, which is take out small groups of people for anniversaries, birthdays, and engagements. And I said, he does a lot of business. He does a good job. And I said, the name...
But why did you refer... Okay, let's cut to the chase here, okay? What did you want for your wife that day?
I wanted a sailboat, unequivocally a sailboat.
Okay, and it sounds like your own witness is saying he called me for a sailboat, Judge. Correct? Because the Prelude's a sailboat, right? Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes or no?
He called to hire Prelude.
Okay, and Prelude is a sailboat, yes, or no? All right, so you call, come on up, wife. What's your name?
Stephanie.
Can I explain real quickly?
Yeah.
We got married in September. It was my first birthday with my wife.
Okay.
I was told the day before her birthday that if you really wanted to do something wonderful, a sailboat. And she had been talking about sailing forever and has never, ever been sailing. Sailing was the whole, it's our whole point. It's the point.
Okay, now we know that certainly was conveyed to Bacon. And then Bacon refers you to somebody who doesn't have a sailboat, who the only sailboat he uses is your sailboat. So why did that happen?
My understanding, I did not understand that he had to have a sailboat.
Okay. Was it a clue when he asked for the Prelude? Because that was a sailboat, right?
It is a sailboat, yes.
Come on. All right. So then you refer him to somebody who has no sailboat, because the only sailboat he ostensibly has is yours. And then you have a conversation with him, which goes something like this. I want to rent a boat. I was referred to you. Okay, I got a boat you can rent. And now, did your contract say whether it's a sailboat or what kind of boat it is?
Okay, yeah, Your Honor, the contract is standard Coast Guard contract for all charters, refers to the boat as a vessel. Okay, so it says the vessel Urban Desire, which we have the contract signed by Mr. Bricklen.
Absolutely.
With the website.
Do you contest that you signed the contract?
Not at all.
Right.
It has the website on the top of the contract. This is the page of the website that Regina Bacon had instructed him to go look at the picture of the boat.
Well, you can instruct them all you want, folks, but
here's the pictures of our boat.
Stop
Diligence,
a second.
Your Honor.
When he says, watch this. Did you tell him you wanted a sailboat?
I couldn't have talked more about a sailboat.
But let's say he did it. But let's say he did it. Let's say that you're just mistaken and you think he wants a powerboat. What ended up happening that morning, by the way?
I would love to explain that. We arrived, I had a bottle of wine, we had a whole basket of things. I was asked to provide...
What was in the basket? I want to see what romantic young people do. I've totally forgotten.
It wasn't wine, actually it was champagne.
It was champagne?
And then I think we had some snacks and we had a stereo.
We had apples. That's all she eats normally is apples.
Okay, I'm not missing anything. Go ahead.
Your Honor, we had a long conversation on the telephone, and he was.
What happened when you showed up that day with the basket of
When I showed up that
champagne
day,
and
I
goodies?
showed up with $1,000 cash. And I can't afford to pay $1,000 cash to rent a boat for 3 hours. But because it was a sailboat, and because he sold me on this great boat, he said, "You're gonna love it. You're gonna love it."
Now,
you're
he
gonna
never
love it."
said it was a sailboat, right? He didn't say a sailboat
Yeah,
back.
that's all I talked about was a sailboat. I don't understand how we ever got to this point.
Wait, you're saying he said to you, sailboat, sailboat?
You know what? At this point, I can't confirm that
the
he
answer,
did or did
I
not.
can. I wasn't there, and I'm going to tell you that he didn't. Because I know what happened here. What happened is it's classic. You had one thing in your head and he had another thing in his head. I don't think for a minute that he thought he was going to fool you and you wouldn't know the difference between a sailboat and a power yacht. Okay?
Well,
he was pretty sure. I mean, you can't hide it like a sailboat. What's he going to do, put a big fat picture of a sailboat in front of the power yacht?
The answer, my friends, is blown in the wind. Is the plaintiff entitled to enforce the contract? Judge Millian rules next.
Connect to the People's Court at peoplescourt.com.
So should these defendants have to pay?
I think he should honor his commitment.
What do you think?
Split it in half.
Chichiro, his commitment.
Okay, going inside the courtroom.
So what happened when you showed up there?
When we showed up, we stopped dead in our tracks. There was no sailboat around. And he met us halfway. And I very politely said, "This is not what we discussed. We discussed a sailboat." And I said, "I'm sorry about our contract, but we had an oral agreement, for a sailboat, and this is clearly not."
So what'd you do? You didn't go out?
No, we left.
So what'd you do for your birthday?
We went out to dinner.
Did he just give you the cash? Let me tell you how it's done, babe.
I kind of went.
Let me show you how it's done. You're a young bride, so let me fill you in.
I went shopping actually.
You went shopping with the money. There you go. Here's this young couple. He claims he can't afford to spend $1,000 on something that, was not what he asked for. What do you say to that?
Well, whether he can afford it or not, I don't know. He called to hire the boat, and you can't hire a boat cheaper than $300 an hour for a 3-hour minimum in the entire area.
Yeah, and he was willing to do that, so long as it was a sailboat, which is what he had originally asked her for.
Your Honor, he did not specify a sailboat. Why would I even offer my own boat if it wasn't a sailboat? We do lots of referrals with each other, and it's simply referred to as a private yacht charter. And if someone calls me for my boat...
Do you refer to a sailboat as a private yacht charter?
Yes, Your Honor,
Okay.
it is.
Guys, can I just tell you something? We care, consumers care what you rent to us. Like, some people really want the sailboat experience. Other people want to sleep on it for, and they want the motorboat experience. They want to go faster and feel the wind. There's a big difference. Like, it matters. So it's not okay to pawn off a motorboat on someone who asked for a sailboat, who we know asked for a sailboat. There is no question in your mind he wanted a sailboat, right?
Yes, there is.
Yes, there is. No, how could there be a question in your mind?
Because he didn't
Let me
say it
ask you
to
a
me.
question. I mean, isn't it obvious? When he asked her for a prelude, which is a sailboat, I don't know why you refer him to a place that doesn't have one.
Because he didn't mention he had to have a sailboat to me.
Oh, really? And when he asked you for the prelude, was that a clue? You know what? You need a clue. You shouldn't be taking calls from the public, okay? We're done, all right? When Mr. Bricklen turns around and calls you and asks for a prelude, that should have been a clue that he wanted a sailboat. He made it very clear. If you guys had nothing to do with each other, that'd be one thing. But not only do you have something to do with each other, you refer each other business. Put your hand down. You refer each other business all the time. And she should have told you he asked for my sailboat. Okay? And if you don't know what the guy wants, you should be asking. And I don't believe for a second you use the word sailboat over and over again when you talk to him. Don't even think about it.
No.
We're done. I know you didn't use the word sailboat over and over again, and I know you didn't use the word powerboat. Neither one of you used the words, because if you had, one or the other would have said, whoa, 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 and stopped what was going on. A contract is a meeting of the minds, okay? Both of you understand exactly what's going on. You decide that you're going to give up something for a certain amount of money in return, and you decide you're going to give up money for a certain something in return, okay? But both of you have to understand the same thing about what the contract is. If not, then there is no meeting of the minds, and ergo, there's no contract. And when that's the case, the contract is null and void, and everybody just returns to the position they were in beforehand. He owes you nothing, you owe him nothing. That's my verdict.
Well, the plaintiff comes out first. Come on over here. Step right next to him, okay? What's your reaction to the verdict here?
I think it was wrong. I think that he should have had diligence to know what he was hiring. He just hired something without knowing specifically. He didn't ask for what he said he did. He was just looking to hire a boat, and we offered him a boat, and he signed on
Yeah, I
a
know,
boat.
but no meeting of the minds, as the judge said. What about what she said on the verdict there? Why you lose?
Well, the judge does what they do because she's a judge. You can't argue with that.
All right, there you go. All right, right down that way. Now we know. All right, so step on in here. Come on over here. Your reaction to this?
Well, we're pleased, certainly. I think that the judge did an incredible job deciphering what was really at issue here. But I did disagree in the sense that I mentioned sailboat innumerable times, just endlessly. I mean, sailing, and he sold me on his boat. He kept saying, oh, the boat's great. And I think that he believes that possibly I would have been impressed with a different type of boat once seeing it. And I wouldn't be surprised if he does this often.
All right, right down that way, okay? No meeting of the minds. Harvey?
Kurt, even if this woman was the one who caused the misunderstanding, the plaintiff is linked to that woman. In effect, they are business partners, and he's responsible for her misrepresentation.